Hey, it's Kyle, and we are back with my co-host,
Jason.
And our other co-host who helps us out a lot,
Nelson.
And we are the 10 Toes Podcast. How you been, Jason?
I'm doing good. I'm glad to be back. New studio, I see.
New studio. Yep, we got a nice big-ass studio now.
We're official.
Nelson and I just got back from the Diddy trial. It was day 14 when we went in. It was a Tuesday, a week or so ago.
Is there a lot of people there? Is it like
it was
the press
actually a
pretty
lot
big out
less.
there?
It was a lot less than we thought.
Yeah.
We expected to be hugely packed. Now, I mean, all the major networks were out there, all the major cable people were out there, and all the major TikTokers and social media people were out there. But outside of that, there wasn't a big crowd or anything like that.
Yeah, because I seen y'all did a couple clips and how y'all positioned. I couldn't tell if there was a lot of people, but I didn't see a lot of movement coming in and out.
At all.
No. Well, we got into the press corral. We got inside for a little bit, and then we had to come out, and then we missed the call to go back in.
Did you get to see him?
Yeah, at the table. He was
really.
I mean, he's older and grayer. He doesn't look
like the Diddy that everybody pictures in their mind. Nothing like that.
Really?
I mean, I'll tell you this: like back in his early career, when I was on the radio and he was touring, and he looked a lot bigger. Now he looked,
Well,
me and you've done time with a bunch of OGs that look like Diddy.
Yeah, but here's the thing about you got to understand is you would definitely know that he's probably on TRT.
Yeah.
He's
sure.
on, supplements. He's working out. He's doing stuff. So he's
Eating right,
eating right. He probably has a chef. He has all the right stuff. So if you ever notice, a lot of the guys that have money when they go to prison, they lose a lot of weight.
Right.
They lose their size. They're not doing the same thing. And then it takes a while after a couple years or a year or so. Once they get, their head right, that's when you notice they start eating right, ordering better stuff out commissary, hitting the track more, working out, getting in the workout car. So he's in a county jail.
The MDC.
MDC, but he's not getting much rec.
No, he's not getting much rec. I can't tell. Plus, he's got some gray now, and
no.
he hasn't figured
the
out.
dye. You mean the dye washed out? Not that he got some gray now.
100%. He was dyeing his hair.
He
100%.
obviously hasn't figured out that you can get the black boot polish off the commissary, but and if he ever does do prison time, he'll probably figure that out. But I'm still, even after that, Diddy. Here's what I think, Jason, and Nelson. I think that the government doesn't even have to prove it. The world has heard that Diddy's a motherfucker. Of
course.
He beat Cassie, obviously.
You guys saw he allegedly dangled this woman off a 17-story building.
I mean,
this blonde lady. He's a scumbag. Like, he's disgusting. I'm not,
Yeah, but here's the thing about it is, and I always tell everybody, I've gone to trial twice with the feds.
And once with Brian Steele.
Yes, once with Brian Steele. And you notice they haven't talked about him at all either.
Well, Brian Steele did the cross the day we were there.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. He
did
did the cross of Mia.
He slapped a brace off of me. Slapped a brace off there. So much so that the judge was like, we need to deter from questioning witnesses in this manner because it'll deter witnesses from taking the stand.
The judge basically said, Brian, Mr. Steele, if you keep questioning witnesses like this, nobody's going to show up for court.
So... And it's funny you say that because during my trial, I've seen all what he does and how he does everything. He literally laid down in mine and would not even ask the questions. We had a stack of evidence, recordings, written statements.
I just want to say, too, and that's the thing about Jason claiming that Brian Steele was his representation. You can go to Jason's link tree on all of his social media files and see that the attorney of record is Brian Steele.
Yeah.
Then when you go to Pacer, you can see that the attorney listed on Pacer as his attorney of record for that federal trial in the Northern District of Georgia is the Brian Steele. There's only one Brian Steele in Atlanta.
And I keep trying to tell everybody to understand that when the cameras are on and it's a big case like that, he performs, okay? Yeah. He's got to make a name because he's an actor. And the reason why I say this is, everybody fakes it till they make it type thing. But if he didn't perform when the cameras are there, nobody's going to want to hire him, right? So all he has to do is perform here and there on a couple big cases. And then all of a sudden his phone's going to be blowing off the hook. And then the other ones, he doesn't have to because guess what? Somebody like me, it was a big case, but it wasn't famous. It wasn't
Young Thug. It wasn't YSL.
Yes.
But speaking of YSL, you guys see that the whole, not one single person in YSL got a murder conviction. Not one.
Really?
No. They took this whole big group.
What's going on with the Dirk thing?
Conspiracy. Dirk's still waiting.
I thought they threw out a bunch of stuff on him because of that song came out way before the murder.
Why are rappers admitting to fucking killing people and shit on songs? Like actual shit. When the fuck did that start? Like, I know there was gangster rap in the 90s with Tupac and Biggie and shit, but like it wasn't.
That was made up.
Like, I don't know.
Well, they were.
It's fucking stupid. Why would you admit to?
Because at the very beginning, it was protected, free speech, and it was just them rapping about stuff.
Yeah,
and
but they don't incriminate themselves.
Well, it's just like people going on these podcasts and doing other things and talking and incriminating themselves. It's the same thing.
True.
People get cocky and want to be, it sells, and they think they're never going to get caught for it.
True.
That they need more evidence. But like, go back to the Fed thing. So, do I think P. Diddy is innocent? I think he's innocent of what they're charging him of.
Me too.
Is he a sick person? Very sick. Is he a freak? Oh, dude, he's a whole nother level of freak.
So,
I thought I was a
even,
freak. But that's a whole nother level of
Even
freak.
if he wasn't innocent of what he's charged with in the feds, the prosecution, the United States Attorney's Office, is doing a pathetic job of trying to prove it.
Well, okay. But here, so for somebody that's been the trial and understands how the trial system works, okay, the feds literally indicted a ham sandwich before. You can look it up. They did it. Grand juries. It's very easy. Nobody's there to defend you, okay? And I can make both y'all look bad by just telling somebody Nelson's a scumbag. Right. This is what he did. And if you're not there to defend yourself, people are going to already have a bad thing. Like, what the hell? Mm. So when you go to trial, all it is a movie script. I tell people all the time, it's two movie scripts battling out to get the movie deal. So, and it's like whoever has the best movie script is going to get the prime time on the local channel and get the TV series. And so the prosecution usually is able to get everybody to come in and tell the best story because everybody that comes on the stand is facing time and they want a time reduction.
Of course. Right.
So in my first case, we were able to get the jail phone calls of Zach Rose. And on those jail phone calls, my co-defendant, he says, I'll tell him whatever I got to do to get home. I don't care what I got to say. I'm coming home.
I have that call.
So then that's the thing about it. And I have it to this day. I'll say whatever I got to say to get home. I'm coming home. I don't care. Whatever they want me to say, I'm going to say. So, but the jury doesn't get to hear that. And you don't get to tell them this stuff. So they have all these people come on. They got an arsenal, a box of weapons of arsenal that we don't have. We don't have people, and they don't want to hear it. Everybody seems to think, and this is where the government wins so much, is because, the federal government charged you. You had to do something wrong. It's like, I'm a fucking freak is what it is.
Before you get indicted and go to federal time, like when I tell people this all the time, even on federal prison tips. Before I went to federal prison, I thought everybody that was in federal prison deserved to be there. They were guilty. I mean, I used to do a lot of political contributions before I went to federal prison, and I would say, I'd say in prison, if I knew that my money was going to prison reform, then I'm not giving you my money because, the feds, if they've got you, you've got to done something wrong, but that is just so untrue in 2025.
So here's the thing. I was a criminal, and I still thought that. I was a criminal going, damn, dude, if the feds got you, because I've always heard when the feds got you, you had to do something wrong. Right. They don't just bring cases against anybody, but that's false. If they get enough...
Conjecture?
No, just all they have to do is be able to paint a good enough picture. If they can get that picture somewhat painted, they're going to indict you.
Yeah, but essentially that's what conspiracy has become. Like, conspiracy has just become... They get two guys to say some shit about you. It could be a fucking complete lie. It doesn't have to be true. And then that's it. They indict you on conspiracy.
I've seen one-person conspiracies in the federal prison.
And that doesn't even work. Wild. But let's talk about conspiracy and RICO, because Nelson, on your Instagram, you showed Sammy the Bull Gravano. Have you seen this clip?
So I haven't. I've seen it show up on my thing.
Sammy the Bull, who ratted on John Gotti and John Gotti's own RICO case, opined about Diddy, basically saying, no, I mean, I know what RICO is. I was indicted in RICO. It's a mafia thing, and there is no RICO here with Diddy. And the other thing is, nobody has been indicted with Diddy to make it RICO.
Well, here's the thing about it also. They don't have to be. It's all about... Conspiracy works two different ways. It's a group of people sitting down talking about it, or a group of people that... all have the same understanding that never even talked about it. So you have a chain where I only know you know him, he knows the next person, I don't know nobody but you. And then there's a circle conspiracy. There's three different elements to make a conspiracy that they can do it. And the reason why they did it, it's an umbrella. It's to make it so broad, so big, you can never beat it. My prosecutor taught me all this after I won. He told me it's illegal conspiracy should be banned. It's the most
It should
corrupt
be, but
thing.
let me. So, one of the things that's fucked up about the feds. Let me give you an example. Say me, you, and Nelson decided that we were going to leave here today and go rob a bank, right? But then Jess came. Jess, your girlfriend, come in and said, "You know what, boys, you guys don't want to do that. We have good lives," and she talked us out of it. Are we still guilty of conspiring since yesterday we were going to do it?
Well,
according to the feds, yes.
No, you have to commit 3 acts of it. So we'd have to talk about us.
Okay.
Then we'd talk about what we're going to do, and then what our role plays are going to be. So
Right.
that's 3. Once you commit the 3rd one, then it's a conspiracy.
Okay, but then when it's the same thing, the same question then. What if Jess stops us before the next
What
day?
if we
Still
had it all
conspiracy.
planned? Like I was the driver, you were the gunman, and he was this fucking stakeout guy. Like we all
And then
planned
we
it
don't
all.
go.
But we have to say a location, what we were going to do. We have to do all that stuff. That's only 2. So we committed as in 3 of us are going to do it, what a role play is. But we didn't commit to what bank,
Right.
How it was going to play out. Once you do that, the only way to get out of conspiracies, what my attorneys told me and the feds told me, is that I have to report it. They say the second one, hold on, the second one is that you have to remove yourself from it. And that's like, so I had pain clinics all over the place. And what they did was they, instead of putting them all together, because it was a continuing conspiracy, you just keep opening them up all across the country. And we never stopped. Yeah, we might have done some with you, and then I did some with you, and then some with such and such, but it's still the same conspiracy.
Right.
It just changed a different role plays, but I'm still doing all the same things. We're all whatever. Is that they said I would have to move to California and go work at Walmart. And that's another way, but that's still not good enough. Because when I went to prison, a lot of people were like, man, I never heard your story. You never talked about it in prison. Well, statutory limitations is 7 years, okay? Right. And the thing about it is, how do you prove that you walked away from conspiracy? And I'm going to tell you a story. And so my attorney told me, do not talk about your case outside of what you went to trial on till 7 years of being in there. Because then it's like you were in there for 7 years. So how did they not know they had control of you if they didn't, whatever. So that's the best way of doing it. There's a story, and I met the guy. He was in drug smuggling in the 80s, okay, early age drug smuggling.
Like cocaine cowboys type shit?
Yep. So he was from Jupiter, Florida. He walked away. And he walked away, had a family, had a falling out with his partner, walked away. 14 years later. 14 years.
Indicted.
No, 11 years later. 11 years later, he was playing basketball with his kids in his driveway, and they pulled up and arrested him. They indicted him because his co-defendant didn't stop for years and years afterwards and got hit. And then he was like, well, I started with such and such, and I did this and did that. He had no way to prove when he removed himself from that conspiracy. How do you prove the day you moved yourself? How do you walked away? So they came and got him, and he got 20 years.
Oh, my God.
After he walked away and his co-defendant continued.
Fucking sucks, bro.
So gets back to like the P. Diddy thing. People don't understand this. This dude was a freak. And I'm scared, and y'all think differently. I'm predicting he's going to be found guilty for 2 reasons. And I'm going to tell you why. The feds hit him, so people automatically, he did something wrong. Okay? And they win a lot on this. And the woman beater thing, because I'm going to tell you why he's going to lose.
But the jury's going to say, we hate him, so fuck this guy. We're going to send him to prison. But
I'm going to tell you why.
But they're not going to do it because he's guilty. They're going to do it because they don't like him as a person.
So so what the feds do, when the feds can't beat you by the book, as in doing, like that you actually committed it, they make you not likable to the jury. And this is what the jury's going to do, and they don't understand this. And a lot of people don't understand this. When you go in front of a jury, okay, you don't get to tell the juries, like, jurors, you realize I'm going to get 30 years. You convict me on these charges. The least charge is still going to give me 30 years. Okay, right. So if you find me guilty because I'm a scumbag and I beat women, you're going to give me 30 years when that's just a 5-year state charge. Right. You see where I'm coming from? So you don't get to tell them that. So what's going to happen is they're going to think like, oh, well, yeah, he didn't do the RICO. We'll just hit him with this, not realizing that same charge still gives you all the enhancements, because the feds are going to give you the enhancements. And they're going to knock his head off. And then the jury's going to be like, damn, we didn't know. They're going to go interview him. They're going to come out later and be like, we didn't know that we
giving him 30 years.
We were giving them 30 years. Why didn't they tell us? Well, because that's their whole ammo, and that's what they like to do. You hear about this all the time. Jurors find people guilty because it's like, yeah, they didn't do that, but we know that he still did something. But they don't hit him with that charge because the prosecution doesn't want you to find him guilty on that charge because it only holds 5 years. So what they do is they hit you with all this stuff, make the case about this over here.
Right.
And then they're going to be like, well, he's guilty, so we just hit him with one of the charges. And they don't realize it's like, well, I had money laundering and drugs. Well, guess what? Money laundering still holds up to 0 to 20. So they're going to find you guilty, think you're just going to get a little bit of time, but then the judge is going to hit you on the 20 because he's going to be like, yeah, well, we still know you were in the drug game. So we're going to bam your ass. And that's the problem. It's going to I'm predicting it. He's going to be found guilty only on how they've made him out to be a freak.
Or is there conspiracy on the charges, or is it just like RICO?
No, there's a conspiracy on the charges. Because but I still think he's not going to be found guilty.
What I was thinking could also happen is, and I think this happened to Jason, if I'm not mistaken, is they separated the actual charge from the conspiracy charge, and then they double jeopardy him. I think that happened.
So what they did was, instead of charging me, so they charged all our Florida clinics as one, and then they separated my Georgia, and then did the same thing to Zach. And the reason why they do it is it's all the same conspiracy. We never stopped. So we just kept opening them up.
Right.
But I would open mine, he'd open his, we'd do some together, whatever. But the conspiracy doesn't matter. I don't have to conspire. I can broaden my conspiracy. I can have a conspiracy where I'm dealing with you and you two don't know each other.
Right.
And it's still a conspiracy, okay, to push whatever it is or do what I'm doing. They have lesser charges, but they still hold 0 to 20. And that's the problem. He'll still score out 15, 20 years. Now, the next question is, what's his jury? Are they black, white, mix?
It's a mix.
Like, what is it? What'd you get from the reading of them? Did you watch them?
It's a mix, young, old, black, white, but they all look influential. But here's what I think. I mean, I think that they will. Nicole Westmoreland and Brian Steele will hammer home just what you said. They've showed you that Diddy did this. Here is the charge, though. This is what he's charged with. They have not proven this.
It doesn't matter. I'm telling you,
this
falls on.
This is what I think he's gonna get not guilty. There hasn't been one credible witness in this entire.
There hasn't.
It doesn't matter.
Of course it matters, because they go and they say, "Oh, Diddy made me do this," and then there's a text message saying, "Well, here's you saying you want to suck his cock." So yeah, all right, you're out of here. Oh, right. Here's a text message saying he's gonna you fucking took $100,000 from him. Okay, you're out of here. None of them are credible. None of them are credible.
In my case,
and then you guys are forgetting that John Gotti beat Rico in conspiracy 3 times before Sammy told on him.
Yeah, but
the feds.
Yeah, but that's John Gotti though.
But the difference was
with the same.
No,
with the
John
same
Gotti.
power.
John Gotti
was
guilty as fuck.
He bought the jurors. I don't know if you know that. You need to research.
I don't know.
But that was one case. That
was in one case.
But he threatened the other jurors. He sent people to threaten them. So that's why they moved it to. Listen.
How do we know that Diddy hasn't bought the jurors?
There's no way he's bought the jurors.
No, there's no way. Not today. Back in the day, you can do it. Today, it's too hard. Let me tell you why you can't buy the jurors today.
Someone's going to open their mouth.
No, because the government bought them. See, here's it. Listen, just like I tell you, I'm going to get into political a little bit of this, because I always say, do we pick our presidents? People are like, yeah, we do. People think we pick our presidents. We don't. So the reason why I say that is, do we vote on them? Yes, we do. But the group of people we pick from both parties, they present them to us, and then we get to pick from them.
True.
But we don't get to pick the people that come to us that put on the ballot, okay? We never do. If you notice, it's them saying, okay, here's a group of people picked from the best people. The jury's the same way, okay? Mm-hmm. So if you ever notice, I've asked so many people, have you ever served on a federal one? They're like, no. Everybody's been on a state one, nobody's been on federal. So where are they finding these people, for one? 2, why is it every time I've gone to federal trial, majority of the people are government employees, which are supposed to be exempt? They're almost all government, or they're all have something to do with your type of case. Like, oh, I had a bad experience with a doctor, or I had a bad experience with this, and they've all been on a federal jury thing. So it's like they've already been on and found somebody convicted, and they have this algorithm. I'd say that they're really good at picking who they pick off of where they work, how they do, whatever. They have a really good system how they do it. So when they bring the jury in, do I get to pick from the group of people? No. They pick it, and then I get to pick from their people. So why is it most of them seem like they're on their side right out the gate? So are they picking the people that are going against you, and you get in there laughing all the time going, well, pick the best 12, big boy. And it's just like, come on, dude. I have a hard time believing that the jury system is not corrupt and that they're picking them for us, and then we get to pick from there. And that's why I say Diddy's going to have a hard time. And if you notice, they quit really touching about it in the press because they don't want it to keep coming out that he didn't commit this crime. If you notice, they've shut up. It's not on the news that much. It's been really quiet.
Besides social media, yeah.
Because social media is turning the tide these days.
Right.
So they don't put it on the nightly news because they don't want to keep like, oh, well, another one down and nothing happened, nothing new. And then the jury's family's like, you know, what the fuck? And they're going home and they're watching the news. They're not supposed to, but they do. We're humans. We do it. So I have a hard time believing that they're going to go, he's really bad, because they're doing a great job at pointing out how big of a freak he is, and his sex fetish is absolutely out of control. And I mean, they're going to, I have a feeling that it's the feds and they're going to get it because of it.
But at the end of the day, he's just a weirdo egomaniac scumbag with a lot of money. He's not.
Hung jury then.
That could definitely
I could take
happen.
a hung jury, but he's not going to be found guilty.
But then he's going to go right back to, they're going to do it again. And guess what? The second pull, they're going to even pull a better pull for them to be in their favor. I'm telling you, they'll wear their asses out. And I'm going to tell you a little thing. When they send them notes up, okay, they already know how many people are for the yes and no. And I'll put every penny on it. It's in there. We have one person holding out. And if you ever notice, when the tide is more on their side, they won't let them go home. They nope, stay, because they know they'll wear their ass out, because they got kids, they got families, they're tired, and it's over. And that's another corruption, I think, in itself. They should at a certain time let them go home regardless. And the reason why is because they don't need to pressure them to take them 2-3 people that are saying no to say, you know what, I'm done, give it up. They should bash it out and be a hung jury and start all over again. That's just my opinion.
That's a good opinion. I mean, that's one of the problems with the jury system. But I'm still standing on it. I think that Diddy's going to walk on this.
I agree that he didn't do what he did. I'm just saying that. What they're charging him of, he did not do. Being in the Fed system and understanding going to trial with these people so many times.
It's just ridiculous.
I feel
where's the criminal enterprise?
I feel like for the government to win this, they needed to come out of the gate blazing with this, and just drop bombshell after bombshell after bombshell. And then, have the entire public opinion sway to them totally. Because now there's a lot more people on my side saying, hey, he's not going to get this charge.
You don't know if they're saving the last person for the best.
Yeah.
No, they're not.
So in my case,
that's not the Fed style.
No, it is. They did it in my last one. First one, they brought Zach out right out the gates. Okay. In my second one, they waited all the way to the end to bring the big guns out. And the reason why they do that, because they want the jury to finish on evidence on the worst stuff. So what they do is they usually come out and paint the picture. So if you notice, they came right out with Cassidy. Why? They want to make him as a wife beater. Right. So now the women are all like, oh, look at this dude. So then they bring all these people in to show that he's a manipulator. Okay. So they're painting that he's a wife beater, a woman beater, and then they're going to come in as he's a manipulator, that he manipulated all these people to do his freak shit, even though it's not a crime.
Right.
But he manipulated him. And then I guarantee at the end, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but they're going to bring somebody in that's going to come with a little bit of a punch just to put it right on when the jury, they're going to get to put their defense on. But how do you put a defense on this, besides the fact that they're going to bring some psych person saying that he has a sex fetish, like a gambling one or a drug addiction, which it's a real thing.
Probably all of them.
But
I think they're going to discredit like a lot of the Cassie testimony. I think they're going to have people that are going to show that Cassie was in on booking these sex parties, and they were both they were both freaks.
Again, you go back to the receipts of like, hey baby, can't wait till you're in me raw. Like, you can't be a credible witness after that kind of shit.
But they're gonna say she was coerced because she was young and he was powerful and he was this and she was in it for the fame.
But that's not what he's on trial for. She didn't realize. And then that's the thing. I mean, the government is trying to...
Kyle, so many people go to prison just because they paint a bad picture, not because they did the crime.
Right.
True. And that's where I'm coming with this.
I still think Brian and Nicole are going to be able to get him out of that. I'm still sticking by it, man. I really am.
I think he can win this one, but I think there's more coming after this, even if he wins. Like, I don't think it's the end of it.
I'm telling you, I know the difference between a lot of other people is I've picked 4 juries. I've gone to trial twice. I picked 4 juries. And I'm telling you how the system, I've been through it. I know how they work. I watched how I beat the feds on the first go-around, how they learned from it, and they attacked me on the second one, how they changed their whole strategy. This is nothing new for them. It's so simple to get the jury to just go, he's a sick person and he needs to pay for something. Who does he think he is? They're going to say he's this rich guy with a lot of influence. He thinks he can just bully people around, push people over, and he's not. They probably got a bunch of broke people on the jurors, and they're going to say, like, you know, oh, I had a boss do this to me one time, or somebody, you know, da-da-da, and you know, it's just, I'm telling you, do not put all your eggs in one basket on this.
Fair enough. All right. Well, he says Diddy will be out by 4th of July, which is a strong statement.
I think it's all over with by the 4th of July.
Well, we'll see, I guess.
That's what I think.
I'm going to tell you this. Watch the feds go find somebody or get somebody to change their testimony just because they're losing.
I mean, they might try and do that.
They do that stuff. And I'm predicting that they're going to get somebody to come in and they're going to find somebody.
Here's the good question. It hasn't been a secret that the hip-hop industry has been infested with weirdo shit from the get. All the fucking, you hear the stories about dudes who suck dick to get a record contract and all that shit. So why now is my question. And my theory is, did he piss somebody off in the face?
Yeah.
That's my theory.
No.
What do you mean? No, Diddy's been around for years. You're gonna tell me it wasn't known that he did all the shit that's coming out into the public now? Okay. It was known.
So what was the one thing that Epstein couldn't do?
What?
Get into black culture.
Yeah.
He couldn't. Okay, so what was Epstein? What was he put in business for? Blackmail only.
Right.
The CIA used him for blackmail. Okay. So what was one culture he couldn't control? The black culture. Mm-hmm. So they put Diddy as the black Epstein. Okay. What's the feds do when they're done with you?
They throw you in jail.
Or they kill you.
Right.
And the reason why they do that is because they don't need you no more. Epstein got unalived. His thing came out. And what is it started to do? Expose who? Okay. Here's another thing is Pablo Escobar. They knew he was in business forever. Why didn't they put war on him from the very beginning? It wasn't until he asked the federal government if he could pay off the debt, the Colombian debt, and become the president.
That they were like, all
they
right,
allowed him to do what he did. It's when you get too cocky and too powerful, like Diddy was doing, going around doing dumbass shit and started getting too stupid and pushing his thing because he thinks, what does every big drug dealer do when everybody got too much power? Their head gets too big.
Get cocky. Yeah.
Okay, so it's one or two things. They were done using him, or he got too cocky, and they needed to take him down. I mean, say what you want to say at the end of the day. They didn't need him no more, so they oust you.
Speaking of Epstein, what do you think about this whole thing with Epstein and Trump and
look, nobody wants to hear my opinion. I voted for Trump 3 times.
Me too.
But the only reason Dan Bongino and Kash Patel would flat out lie about Epstein is if there's some involvement.
So
like,
this is
I'm not saying Trump.
I'm glad that you said that. So because people are asking me all the time, like, do I think that things will change with home confinement and all this? Because I know Doge was working on that. This is what I think is going to happen, right? Because Kash Patel, you know, when they brought him through Senate confirmation hearings, he promised this monumental level of transparency.
Day one.
I'm going to tell you.
And hold on. Kash Patel promised this monumental level of transparency. So they have now got to let this Epstein list out. And if Donald Trump is on that Epstein list, it's over with.
Well, Dan Bongino said there's proof in the Epstein file that he committed suicide. So let's see it. Show it to us.
Well, we're not even talking about that. We're talking about you know about Elon and Trump?
But yeah, they're going at it like fucking
right.
sissy girls.
And then Elon said on X the other day that
he's
Trump
in the files.
is on the files.
Yep.
All
right, go ahead.
Give me to prove you're
What's
wrong.
What's that?
The Democrats, when he was running, they told lies. And they dug up every bit of dirt on him.
Right.
And you're going to tell me that they hid that he was on Epstein Island?
Yeah, but they were on Epstein Island too, so they can't put it out there.
Hold on. They controlled the government. They can leak whoever they want out. Okay? If they could put him as a pedophile to get him out of office after everything they've done, they created lies. They've done everything they could. You don't think they would have leaked his and got rid of the rest of it?
I mean, all right, but why doesn't Trump leak it then?
Leak because the Epstein file?
Yeah.
I don't think it's there.
You think it doesn't exist?
I don't think it exists. I think they got rid of it. I think it's all a lie.
That's actually a great.
I think they got rid of it all.
I didn't think of that.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you, they can't release it. First off,
because it doesn't exist. Yeah.
No, it's gone. I think it's all gone. They're all lying. They just want it public. They didn't realize it because look, supposedly Pam Bondi had to go to New York to get it from the thing. Everybody said they knew when Trump was in there, they were doing what? What was all the whistleblowers saying? Shredding paperwork, shredding everything. It has the reason why they say that the P. Diddy list got revealed because it doesn't have politicians, it doesn't have
100%.
Princes, it doesn't have presidents of other countries.
World leaders. Yeah.
It has world leaders. You can't leak stuff from world leaders because then it causes chaos throughout the world. It causes problems and other things. So you have to, no matter what. It's so big, they'll never release it. Everybody knows who's on it. They know what they were doing. Why do we need to see it? I truly don't need to see it. I already know what was going on. We have enough. Use your own brain. We don't need to see it on paper. At the end of the day, I promise you, I truly believe if Trump was on it, they would have leaked it just to get him out of office to ruin his career for life. I'm just telling you.
That's fair enough. I mean, because the Democrats were in control of the FBI until this year.
Like a few months ago.
So my whole thing of it is, if there was something there, they would have done it. I mean, they created so many false things to get him out. They drawn at straws. Trust me. If something was there, it would have got leaked. You're never going to see this thing. You're never going to see it.
So Trump is safe.
Epstein did commit suicide.
No. Stop it.
I think he did. And I'm going to tell you why.
Why?
Tell you why. I mean, because for one, to be able to pull that off with inmates still in that hallway, there were still inmates on that wing.
Right.
That shit would have got out by now. Inmates don't hold secrets.
True.
I'm just letting you know. They don't hold secrets.
Inmates
there was inmates on that hall,
like
on that thing.
That shit was like
You'd be surprised what a room will do by yourself, sitting in there looking at that stuff, knowing if he went to any prison, what they were going to do to him. He knew what they were going to do when he walked. He knew he was never going to walk out of that prison. He was going to end up on a medium or pen, and what his life was going to be like.
Kill him.
And he killed himself. I don't want to believe it. I want to believe that the government did. But I can promise you one thing. I've done 6 months in the shoe. I know what it's like to be in solitary confinement. I know.
Me, I've done 30 days.
You know what I'm saying? Like, people got to realize
it's bad.
When you go from being a billionaire and getting thrown right into a room and knowing that,
shoe in the feds. That's crazy.
And then you're in a horrible environment. The staff are probably treating you like shit because you're a chomo. They're doing all these god awful things. You're probably hearing stuff from everybody talking about what they're going to do to him and everything else. You get a guy that has lived that type of a life, he doesn't know how to do that. And what do they normally do? They all commit suicide. Why, when the financial thing happened, people were jumping out windows. They were committing suicide. So why wouldn't he do it? That's just my opinion. I've watched the rich guys. Who complains the most in prison?
The rich guys.
And the people that have 21 months.
Right.
Yep.
8 months.
9 months. Yeah. They complain the most. It's a life sentence. Oh my God, the world's coming in.
That's the people who complain in my TikTok the most.
So, and that's my whole thing is once you go to prison, you understand this. And then there's inmates on. Nelson's one of them guys. So
the 8 month guy?
Yeah, the 8 month guy.
Yeah, he's the 8 month guy.
So
short timer, do your time.
Yeah. So my whole thing of it is
fair enough.
Gossip in prison is unbelievable. I'll tell you right now.
It's funny that we got 15, right?
Yeah.
We got 15 there, 15 who's actually running the control board today, 8 right here, and 8 months.
Yeah, 8 months.
You gotta have one short time around the coop.
So you got to look at it this way: anything that happens in prison, they tell their people.
100%.
Of course.
100%. So if there was any foul play, I'm gonna tell you right now: when you're in the shoe and you're on a range, nothing gets by nobody. Everybody, every footprint, everything going on, they're in the window, they're watching. If there's a tussle or some door getting clicked, everybody's getting up, looking, see whose door's getting clicked, what's going on.
There's no way to look up who is in the shoe in the same time as him, right? Like you can't find.
No, the feds are not going to release that.
Find that.
You're never going to find it. But you don't need that. The inmates are going to talk, and them inmates.
They know who they are.
You know what I'm saying? There's some on that range, and why haven't they talked? That's just my opinion. I mean, I truly believe that if it was done, they would set the CO up, and they'd have roasted his ass too. I'm just saying, that's what they're notorious for doing.
What do you guys think about the stuff we talked about today? Leave it in the comments. I'm Kyle. Follow me everywhere at Federal Prison Tips.
I'm Jason Votrobek. It's 8UpJ.
Nelson, host of Honor Among Thieves, co-host of 10 Toes.